interviewing Nikki van Schyndel. She's the author of Becoming Wild, and we're here in Kona, Hawaii. Nikki van Schyndel is a wilderness guide, public speaker, and author of the best-selling book, Becoming Wild, which chronicles her adventures of living her childhood dream of surviving off the land with primitive tools and technology for 18 months. She abandoned her life of pedicured toes, Thai restaurants, and diamond rings for dirty nails, roasted mice, and bear claw necklaces. Nikki is not your stereotypical end-of-the-world survivalist. She grew up as a privileged equestrian show jumper and finally has found a way to balance the worlds. She now operates Eco Bay Eco Ventures, a unique custom-tailored tour operation sharing the secrets of the natural world while living in a remote coastal community. So Nikki is incredible, and I met her recently at a film festival put on by our friend Allison Teal, and we got to hear her story, and I was just totally blown away by it. Josh and I looked at each other immediately and were like, we need to interview Nikki. She's ridiculously cool. Yeah, I mean, every story is amazing, but Nikki went from basically being a city girl, right?
Yep.
To going right into the wild. And as you heard in the intro, her book, Becoming Wild, talks about that journey.
Yeah.
And so you're out there for a year, right?
Year and a half.
A year and a half, just completely learning how to survive.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about like what that was like for you.
Yeah, it was like my dream come true as a little kid. Like, when I was a little kid, I read a book, My Side of the Mountain. I wanted to be Sam Gribley, live off the land and make my own clothes. And then my uncle bought me my first pony, and honestly, I never thought of the forest again. And it wasn't until, 20 years later that I had started having like magical experiences in nature.
Wow.
And it kind of opened me up to this reality that's out there, and trying to face my fears of the forest. And so the first thing I did was I camped out alone in the forest with a sleeping bag I borrowed, and I had the most magical encounter with a cougar. It actually came and slept with me that night.
What?
And it was like my most feared forest animal, right?
Yeah.
And
style.
Yeah. Totally. And so I heard something walking down the trail, and I'm in this sleeping bag like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? There's something coming to eat me. And I just stopped breathing, and I held my breath, and it circled my sleeping bag, and then it just plopped down beside me.
Wow.
And it started purring, like the most rumbling purr, like my whole body was like, ooh. And the minute I realized it was like my greatest fear, I was just, terrified. And then pretty soon I realized, like, when my cat purrs, it's like happy, it's content,
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, it's actually not going to eat me. So I just fully relaxed, and I had the most incredible night. Like,
how close was it to you?
Like suction.
It was like all up.
Like,
wow.
Yeah, the whole night, like stealing,
cuddling.
stuff down on my sleeping bag.
Yeah.
Like, in an army cot feeling, and
wow.
I lied there all night with it.
Jeez.
And in the morning it left. And I woke up, and it was the most gorgeous scene I'd ever seen in the forest. Like, highway to heaven coming in, the streaming sun, and this woodpecker came in and was knocking on this tree, and I thought, like, oh my gosh, I feel at home in the forest. Like, I'm not afraid anymore. And I thought, if these are the kind of experiences you can have in nature, I was like, I want more of them. Like, I want my whole life to be like this.
Yeah.
And, it started me on this quest that led me to live in the woods for a year and a half.
What a great kickoff to everything too. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
One thing that really struck me was listening to you talk in a different video. You were saying that being back in nature really alleviated the stress of society, and that you could just be you.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so incredible, because it's just really hard in the society we live in today for people to feel all right, just being themselves. I know I've felt that so many times. It's like almost like a part of life. You feel like you're not okay to be who you are, and that is, I think, for somebody seeking out that feeling of wanting to be okay with who they are.
Yeah.
Like, maybe this is a great idea something to try. Maybe just be more connected with nature, or
have a slumber party with a cougar.
Slumber party with cougar that would be it.
Right.
Yeah.
You can send out invites.
Yeah.
So the other thing too is, I mean, we immediately were like, Nikki is the epitome of fearless, fit and fearless, and we heard your story about how you killed a bear.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that too?
Yeah. When we first went out there, my survival skills were pretty good. I studied for about 5 years intensely, but still, like, actually wandering off with nothing besides kind of your knife and a couple little supplies. It really was overwhelming, and I went in the winter, which was really dumb, and so I was pretty much starving, and I was gonna have to leave or figure out what to do. And at the time, it just seemed wrong to kind of trap deers and other animals that were having their babies. And I thought that a bear was probably the best thing to do, because the mama bears generally keep their babies up high, and it's mostly the young males who come down, and the males come down to the estuaries to feed. And so I built a giant trap as a deadfall trap with about 500-600 pounds of logs, and I baited it, and I caught a bear like that, and another bear had to spear it.
Wow.
It was I mean, hunting's tough. I don't care who you are. Like, hunting's really tough. And the bears especially, they taught me so much about my life and my place on this planet. And it was like becoming a cave person. I mean, you're stalking through the forest with your spear, you know the bear is there, and it was like primal. It was like this most primal feeling to feel. It was unbelievable.
Wow.
And yeah.
I mean, did you experience the fear before it happened?
I was definitely not fearless in the moment. Like, as soon as I heard the bear, I just had this really sunken feeling, your heart's just like, no, like, it didn't work properly. And then there was this moment where you're trying to decide what to do. I actually had a bow and arrow, and I tried shooting it with my bow and arrow I'd made, and flint knap stone points and everything, and my arrow, it was like a perfect shot to his heart, and the arrow just like fell right off. Like, it didn't even pierce it.
Oh, wow.
Its skin's so tough, like my 40-pound test bow just didn't even penetrate it. And then a moment of fearlessness totally came. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not afraid right now at all. I am gonna, put this animal out of its misery,
Yeah.
And there was just this moment where I was just overcome with zero fear whatsoever. It was like I needed to do what I needed to do. And so, it was really sad. And what was amazing with the one bear, after she died, it was really quick. I went over there, and she was snared, and I took the noose around her head, and I was holding her head in my lap, and like just crying, like the grief I felt for making this bear so scared. And as soon as I was like, I'm so sorry, it was raining all day, and then literally the clouds parted, and this sunbeam came shining down and lit up this bear's face on my lap. And I was like, okay, like inside I kind of forgave myself, and it's really all you can do is do your best. And, sometimes you just make mistakes. And we're a society of hammering on us for, making mistakes and not being perfect, and not being who we truly are. And so it was this really incredible lesson that she gave me.
Yeah, it sounds like, because you were doing it to survive, to literally like keep eating when you needed it. Yeah, and it just sounds like that was nature's way of saying to you, like,
Yeah, it was amazing. Whatever I needed, I ended up finding and more. It was incredible. Once I got past the domination, the man versus wild scenario of like, I can do this, I'm, the fit human, and everything's for me. Like, as soon as I was like, whoa, I'm going to stop worrying, because that's only telling the universe I don't actually believe that I'm going to be taken care of, so I'm done with that.
Yeah.
And then there was this moment of like being a caretaker instead, and, knowing that it was going to happen when I needed it. And it just always worked out after we came upon that.
That's really...
It's beautiful.
Super beautiful.
Really beautiful. Yeah.
In terms of being fearless, we all have fears that come up. What helps you to overcome a fear that comes up? Because I know that like a lot must have come up for you during that trip, like not just the bear, but like other things.
Definitely.
What takes you from that space of, I don't know if I can do this, I'm so paralyzed by fear, to being able to step past that and even just move forward into it?
Yeah. Well, like, I'm a firm believer in choosing love over fear. Like, I know in my life that every time that I've had fear or doubt or worry or whatever goes under the category of fear, nothing has ever worked out.
Yeah.
And like, when I actually tell my ego and my brain, hey, you know what, that's a lie and that's an illusion, then my body and my mind goes, you're right. Like, and so when I'm facing, you know, a grizzly bear that's 2 feet from me, like, I just send it so much joy. And I'm like, you are so beautiful. And it immediately stops grunting, immediately stops being aggressive, being nervous, and it sighs, and then it's like, okay, so we're good then? You know, and I'm like, yeah, we're totally good. Like, you do your thing. And I've seen it with every animal out there. I've seen it with cougars who have been not so nice, you know? I've had a cougar attack my dog. I've had a cougar stalking me. I've had a cougar waking up beside me, lurching behind a log, you know, I'm in my like mummy bag up to here, and I'm like, well, why are you in my yard? Why are you here? Like, you need to go. And it's like, I want to pounce on something right now. It's like, yeah, you know what? You need to walk off into the forest right now. I'm in my mummy bag, you know? And it just like immediately takes away that tension, you know? And so when you're in those situations, whether it's nature or humans or whatever, because the modern world is a lot scarier than, you know, nature. It's just a matter of letting it go.
Yeah. Let's turn it over. I feel like Josh has a couple questions to go for.
I was just inspired by that moment of you talking about how you face beasts in the wild.
Yeah.
Because I feel like going into a place, a big metropolitan city or somewhere where there's just like this giant mass of people that is almost out of control in a lot of people's eyes and outside looking in, that same technique can be applied in those type of concrete jungle environments.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I started just really realizing that, like, I know I employ that technique a lot, but even a lot of my friends around me, I've just watched how they interact. And it's like, when they go right into this cougar or an angry person on the street, you know, you can either, you know, be a proponent of that anger and degrade it even more and antagonize it, or you can, like you said, diffuse it and kind of detach from there. And I really think that that's like a common thread I'm starting to see that our society is missing.
It is.
And so that's like the most amazing, most gorgeous thing I've ever heard anybody say that came to you in the wild.
It was incredible. And, you know, it took me a long time, you guys, honestly, like 6 years to even venture out from nature once I lived that way. It was the most incredible way of life I've ever lived. Like, I'd never been happier, more free in all my life. Like, I never wanted to leave.
Yeah.
And I realized that all of my survival skills that I learned, from manifesting anything I needed right at the moment, to manifesting a medicinal plant I needed to stop bleeding, whatever it was, food, was exactly I can use for the modern world. And so I have, in the last year, which is so exciting, making my move partly out to test these kind of theories that I learned in the wilderness, and it has been spectacular. Like, when I need $600 for my car insurance, my grandmother just gave me my car, then I'm like, I'm going to treat this just like I need a fish for dinner, you know? And the same principles apply. It's been super exciting, and especially about kind of coming back to what seems like just, you know, destruction and negativity in our world around. You know, there's always something you can complain about or see wrong. And I've just been mapping over these kinds of things in nature to humans and to our place here. Because that's the only way we're going to save the world, right? Is change our hearts and bring that back. And so that's what I want to do, is kind of bring back what I've learned in the forest in my life.
Incredible.
get it good. Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been noticing that there's a lot of people on these individual journeys to figure things out, but a lot of them aren't coming back with just such a broad spectrum that you develop and you allowed yourself to receive.
Yeah.
And that's just so beautiful because everybody is looking to change the world, but a lot of people are still focused so inward that they don't realize that, like, once they figure out their way of being, then it's like you said, cast it out into the whole entire world. So that you can start really radiating that love without having to be 1,000 places at once.
I totally agree.
You know, that domino effect.
It's huge, and what I realized was, like, people are like, oh, well, what's your cause about this, and what do you do here, and I'm like, you know what, like, my biggest gift to the world, I think, for myself, is, you know, learning myself, you know, being the best person I can be, because when you shine, you know, the best person you can be, it just allows other people to shine too, you know, and they feel that from you, and they get all excited, and they're like, I don't know what you got, but I want that too, and you know, it's just like one more person shining, you know, and it really is about looking at all of the positive things. Like when I was out in the woods, really starving and cold, and sleeping in puddles of water, and like eating mice, and just all these kinds of things that people are like, dude, you never showered for how long, and you know, you didn't wash your hair for 3 weeks, like, you know, and it was like, yeah, no, I forgot about how to actually, you know, brush my teeth, and I forgot how to have manners, and I was like, you know, I could have just dwelled on all of that, you know, and left. Like, people are like, I can't believe you could have stayed that long, and what made me stay was every second of the day I would look around and go, oh my gosh, look at that wave. You know, or, oh wow, look at that bird, or I'd sit under a little cliff and have the raindrops falling, and I'd be like, I am so thankful for that little scene right there, you know, and it just kept me going. And I do that in town, you know, all the time, just constantly being vigilant. People think it's not work necessarily, but it's a matter of keeping your ego and your mind vigilant and seeing the good, you know, being the light. You know, it is work to constantly remind yourself, but then eventually it becomes like a habit, right? Like all of a sudden you don't have to think about all the things you need to do to surf. Right? Like you just are paddling and you stand up naturally. Like that's what happens about being a good person. Like eventually you're just a really good person and can't help it. And like that's what we need, you know, people to get excited about, you know, be a better person. That's the only way that I see our world really exponentially getting to be a better place, you know?
So I love that because I feel like, you know, we're in the emergence. I mean, it's definitely already upon us, but I always talk about how there's going to be transportation to other continents maybe within an hour of time, not like
already been invented.
Yeah, you know? And it's like the global community is upon us.
Yeah.
And so it's even more present than ever to like drop into being so present to those things. And it's cool that you like really detached from this physical realm that we all are existing in and went to a place where you allowed your spirit to transcend into this like almost back world that most people never see.
Yeah.
And then you took it to a way of bringing it back into the world. Now you're just allowing it to, you know, manifest a new way of being with people.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people ask me like, why did you even come back?
Yeah,
it was so
sure.
Like I could live out in a little shack thing or whatever, lean-to forever and meet no one and not really give back to the world. It's the only reason I came back. I mean, I'm barely back, but
but you're doing it. You're
still
willing.
live in a community of 13, so.
Right.
But I do have a little place in Vancouver now, and so I've been kind of making my little excursion out. Because I don't believe that the way to help our planet or people is by going back to the past. I really don't. I see the things that we've invented as just incredible blessings, you know? And I really feel there's a balance, and that's what I've been trying to do for myself, is find that balance for me. It's pretty difficult when you can wander out into the forest with your knife or nothing, and you have everything you need. So it's tough for me to decide what's worth it. You know, actually that doesn't really do much for me.
What crossed the line of glamping versus
I know, right? Like I built a cabin, and my neighbors make fun of me because I was like, I'm going to get a washing machine. And they're like, whoa, Nikki, slippery slope. Like, why can't I have a washing machine? Like, I'm not into this salt water down at the creek. Like, I want a washing machine, you know? But then the washing machine required a generator that I run once in a while, you know? And then that required gas, which then I needed to jog, which then I needed, you know, just went on and on. So it's finding that balance, you know, that doesn't, you know, I rate everything on my happiness. Like, if I'm like, how do I feel about this? If I feel a tinge of unhappiness, then I know that's not for me.
Right.
Listening to your heart is the greatest gift I learned out in nature. You know, your intuition. Like, I honed that so incredibly. It's pretty hard to lie to myself. As the person I used to be, like, honestly, I was just a spoiled little show jumper kid. Didn't care about nothing except my ponies and what I wanted.
Right.
And all of the stuff that's happened to me can happen to anybody, you know? Like, we always put people up, you know, saints and masters up onto these things like, oh, well, you know, Jesus could do that, but, well, we can't.
Right.
And I realized out in the forest that, no, like, I'm the same as all of those people in history, as you are, that we can do all of that stuff too. It's only because we're made to believe we can.
Right.
And we're just driven by this fear society we live in, right? Everywhere we look is about fear. And I've decided to go, you know what, that's an illusion, and I don't believe you anymore. Because I know it's true. Like, I've experienced it. And so, like, it just takes a couple experiences for each person to have that goes, whoa, something shifts, and goes, whoa, you're right. Like, I could do that, you know? And it's just so exciting to know that it's just not special people.
Yeah.
Like, we're actually all special and exactly the same. Right? You know, we really, in our hearts, we're exactly that same incredible being as Buddha or, do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, we are.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just time that people rise up and go, hey, you know what? I am powerful. Like, I am powerful of the light, and I'm tired of living in this, you know, limitation world, because it's not.
Sure.
It's awesome. I'm excited about
That's so cool.
it. Super jacked.
Yeah, you're just like elevating the vibration. Like,
Yeah, we gotta raise up the consciousness.
Well, I mean, because I had that epiphany a little bit. So you're really breaking me through some stuff. A couple weeks ago, I was getting just jammed by these mosquitoes nonstop.
Wow. Oh, interesting.
And I started thinking, like, okay, I'm noticing a certain time when these are coming around, and then I'm killing them angrily. And then I started realizing, like, mosquitoes are doing its job, for one. But two, what if I'm bringing those mosquitoes to me? So I started noticing when I was in a place of survival, I was drawing in survival. So mosquitoes are doing their job. And when I changed my mindset to realizing, okay, I'm in survival mode, and we go into, like, I don't even know how to describe it right now, whatever you felt when you saw the cougar, you drop into that mode, and then you kind of just tell those things, I know you're just doing your job, but let's just go on. You don't kill, but, like, kind of gently allow them to go on a different way. The mosquitoes are just falling away. I don't even get bitten anymore. And, it's not a cougar, but it makes sense now. Yeah,
it's totally the same thing.
Same thing as
that's why nature's so amazing, right? Like, that's why people flock to wild spaces. Because there's a truth in nature that is hard to see at first when you're not used to it. Right. In the city, you know? And to be able to have that awareness, to go, hey, wait a minute. Like, maybe this is telling you something, you know? Because everything in nature is going to tell you something about yourself, boy, like, big time. Like, when birds are alarming, it's you. You know, it's your energy that you're projecting out. Like, they're like, hey, you're not feeling great. We know you're coming. Hey, you know what? We're coming. Human coming. And you can't sneak up on any animal because the birds have already told you a mile away.
It is funny how sometimes you'll have birds that'll be so beautiful sounding, and then the same birds can sound like, oh, why don't they just shut up? You know, depending on the mood that you're in and the state.
It's exactly what it is. It is. And it was one of the first things I was learning was to learn the language of the birds so that you could actually get up there and touch the animals without the birds alarming you're there, right, as a human. And it's all just invisibility of your mind. You know, when you... If you can camo up, and I mean, I love camoing, right? Like, smearing something is awesome and visible everywhere you go. But, like, you can actually just do it wearing, like, a purple hat. Because it's just your mind that you're turning off to become invisible. in the forest. And you can practice it in town all the time because humans have pretty weak awareness in town.
Right,
You know?
yeah.
And so it's just camouflaging all your thoughts, right? And as soon as you can, you know, let go of most of your thoughts, like birds immediately settle down. It's really cool. And then you can, you know, see what's happening.
She's dropping knowledge bombs today.
Yeah. It's crazy. I'm speechless right now. I don't know what to say. Like,
That's
totally
good.
Speechless. Do you have anything else you'd like to?
Yeah, I figured.
Are we tiring you out?
No.
I know this isn't as much fun as hanging out with cougars.
Yeah. The one question I really want to leave everybody with and ask you is if somebody were to come up to you and say, I have something I want to move forward on that my heart is pulling me towards, but I just feel so afraid to do it, or I have these obligations, what would you say to them, or what would your advice be to anybody feeling that?
Yeah, I get really excited when I hear people say that because it means that someone's ready, you know, they're really excited to do it. And I guess the most important thing is,
the most important thing we can do for ourselves is to genuinely be happy. And what happens when you're not living your biggest dreams is that you're not happy. And once you start walking towards that dream, no matter the smallest little steps, we are afraid that someone's gonna, you know, not agree with us or not support us. And what I've noticed is that when I actually stand up and speak my truth, people rally for you. They're like so excited for you when you think that they're gonna be like, yeah, no, I wanna keep our house. You know, oftentimes because of your enthusiasm and passion for what truly gives you the most bliss in your life, your loved ones and friends are gonna support you. And to get over that initial moment and start small, because then you'll see the little increments. What happens is when we're trying to change something about ourselves or our world, we look for the big thing to happen, the miracle thing, the cougar sleeping with you, you know, touching your first deer, instead of like when the butterfly landed on your finger, you know, when you got really close to the gecko, or when your friend just happened to bring you over some fruit that you were wishing you had. You know, like, and when you start to pick the little tiny things as your progression to doing what you most want to do, then it gives you so much momentum, and then your fears just fall away because you realize it works. And the problem is that we look too big at first and we say it's not working. And you know, nature and the universe works, obviously people say, in incredible ways, and I think we're just so focused on the big picture that, you know, you just gotta start off a little smaller around you, and then, yeah.
I think that's fantastic advice, because I always like to look at it as an analogy of a mountain. You know, and when you look at the top of the mountain that you want to climb, you're like, how am I ever gonna get up there? Like, I don't know if my breathing will be okay when I trek up the mountain. Am I fit enough? Am I, like, all these fears pop into your mind. But if you just start by taking your first step, looking at your feet, all of a sudden you just keep taking steps and you're at the top of the mountain. So small steps and just moving forward a little bit.
You also have to realize that you don't actually have to walk up that mountain, right? Like you can actually be here and then on the top of the mountain. So it's really important to not forget like where we're actually heading. And that's just to be here and then the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, the mountain being yourself, where you are right now.
Yeah. Or a mountain.
Or an actual mountain. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Nikki. This is super inspirational.
Thank you for so much of your work.
I mean, it's incredible.
Thanks.
Yeah, really incredibly nice.
We're excited about it. So until next time.
Yes,
make
you'll have to come to my house.
Yeah.
Come up for a trip.
Yes, in Canada. And we're going to be promoting Nikki all week long on Facebook and Instagram, so make sure you're following TheFitandFearless, and we'll be putting Nikki's Instagram and Facebook tags up there as well, so you can follow her too. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe to our channel here for more videos like this. Also, share it with your friends if you think Nikki's story can benefit other people and inspire them to be fearless as well. We want to hear from you, so make sure you comment below and let us know what your favorite part of this video was and what you found fearless about Nikki, among many things. Make sure you subscribe to our email newsletter on TheFitandFearless.com to get exclusive content, recipes, and more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Yeah.
Dolphins. Hi, Nikki. High five and dolphins. And you're like, go throwing like this. Yeah, dolphin right there. And then I get home like, I told my mom, my whole family, right? Like, I'm gonna send you.
You'll never believe what happened.
Dolphins. I'm singing. I get home and it's like, I never turned it on.
Put it on the screen for everyone to watch.